Good day, knife nerds. This is the Big Canucker coming at you with my inaugural YouTube review. So please be kind in the comments. And you know what? I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey. About 7 years ago, I needed a pocket knife for my job. And I ended up stopping over at Walmart and picking up a Canadian-designed Kershaw. And I actually can't remember what it is right now because that knife didn't last too long. You know what? It was okay, but I was very, very hard on it. And yeah, but you know what? As with anybody who's got the addiction or the knife disease, one became two, and so on. And I ended up finding online a Spyderco Tenacious and just some information about it. So I logged on to YouTube to find out some more information about Spyderco in general, because up in Canada, I didn't hear about them. So you know what, I had a look online and I stumbled across all this wonderful world of knives and cutting with some wonderful, wonderful folks online, and they did a fantastic job educating me and entertaining me. And you know what? I suppose I don't really want to call them SOBs, but damn it, they are, because they got me hooked on cutting myself and cutting things. So just a quick shout out to the ones who really got my disease going. We've got Randy Johnson, Nick Shabazz, Peter from Cedric, and Ada down in Australia cutting all that twisted sizzle rope. That poor bugger. I'm surprised that his right arm is not 3 times bigger than his left arm. We got Metal Complex, Keith Kevin Ken, who's a collector, and I love watching his videos, and I'm so jealous that I don't get the Spyderco sent to me every time they come out. We got Dr. Frankie, who really looked at a lot of high-end stuff and really got my credit card really hot. Kyle Noseworthy, another fellow Canadian who really helped me with some sharpening. Kevin Cleary, Virtual Voice out in Japan, who his Hello Knife People. My wife heard that coming out of a few of my videos, and actually she ended up watching it, and she now knows how to do a zero grind on a K-bar. I don't know if that'll ever come in handy for her, but for me it did. And of course we've got Jake from Canadian Cutting Edge, and there's so many more. Randy Johnson, I don't know if I mentioned him. He's the fellow who showed me how to sharpen with the Spyderco stones, and I appreciate it very much. Now, my channel, I want to concentrate on EDC items, you know, some knives, flashlights, you name it. If it's going to go in your pocket and help you out, I want to do a review on it. But we're going to start off here with my very first knife review, which is going to be on a Kevin Smock designed Spyderco Smock. And I absolutely love this knife. It is a fantastic fidget knife. It cuts like a lightsaber. As you can tell here, I'm not sure you see my finger here. I ended up cutting right into almost the bone. So this sucker really cuts. Now, it's based on his SK23 model, which if you have a look at that online, you can see that they're very similar. It didn't stray too far from the SK23. Let's just see here. It's a top flipper with a button release. So you can see the flipper tab is on the top, and it's got a great detent, and it's got the compression lock, but it's actually a button along the side, not your normal compression lock on the back side. So the flipper, the fidget factor on this knife is high. I love sitting watching a movie and flicking this knife in and out, open and closing it, to the point where it drives my wife absolutely crazy. She hears my knife click and she tells me to put it away. Now, that's not the only thing she tells me to put away, but the knife, she definitely tells me to put it away. Now, it's a hollow grind blade with a CPM S30V. And if you know what a hollow grind is, you know that it's extremely thin behind the edge. So it actually cuts into anything very well. But it's also got a little bit of thickness on the top, so you've got you know, a strong blade. It's not a heavy use blade by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a good cardboard cutter and an all-around pretty decent EDC knife. It's got the ball bearing pivot, so it's very smooth. Now, the other thing too, as well, is in Canada, we're not allowed to have any sort of gravity assist knives at all. And when this thing was first being produced, it opened up. If you push the button, it would actually open, and that would have made it a gravity assist knife. So they had to put a second detent in there. to prevent it from opening up when you press the button. Now, it delayed production a little bit, and I had this in my cart for a long time when it was released, and it took me forever to get, but I gotta tell you, it was well worth the wait. Now, just a little bit here, it's got the skeletonized handle with stainless steel liners and an open back construction. Mine's a little bit dirty right now, but it is quite easy to clean and blow out. Now, there's been some, I guess, people complaining in the knife industry that, you pay X amount of dollars for a knife and it should have full carbon fiber scales. This particular knife has got a carbon fiber top layer with a G10 bottom layer. And I actually don't mind that construction. I've had a few knives with that kind of construction on it, and they've never separated. I think it looks fantastic. It's got good grip, good gripitude, and it's the G10 is tough as hell. So I'm not going to complain too much about the carbon fiber laminate. All right, so now moving on to this pocket clip. You've got a top tip up left and right carry, so it's ambidextrous. There's no tip down on this, which is absolutely fine with me. And if you can see here on your clip, you've got quite a bit of room there for the top of your jeans. So when it sits inside your jeans, it's not going to bunch up, and it's actually not going to come out. I've never had this knife ever come close to coming out of my pocket, and it's absolutely fantastic clip. It's got that Spyderco spoon clip on it. And like I mentioned before, you've got the button lock here, which is basically a compression lock, although it's kind of reversed. You don't have that compression lock cut out. You've basically just got a button and it's kind of a reversed. The fidget factor with this knife is incredible. I can sit and flipper this knife all day long and not get bored of it. The other really nice thing though too about this button lock is you've got a liner lock or a Reeves integral lock. Your thumb is in the blade path when it closes. With the button lock, your fingers are never in the line of the blade, so you never have to worry about that. Now let's just see here. Overall length, you've got 7.92 inches, or just under 8 inches. Or 201 millimeters. Now I've got a little bit of a toonie here because we are in Canada, just to kind of give you a size comparison. I also decided to throw in other couple knives here. We've got Spyderco K2, which is quite a large knife, so you can see the size of that. And this is what I'm carrying today, which is my Spyderco Southern. And with my little lanyard on it. I sure love tying the leather lanyards. That's something I learned from Randy Johnson. Just another shout out to him. But you know what? This seems to be kind of the perfect EDC size knife. At just under 8 inches. It's got it carries very thin too as well. So it sits in your pocket, and I never have to worry about it kind of getting too bulky or taking up too much room in my pocket, especially when it's closed. It's a very, very straight knife, as you can see here. So when it sits inside your pocket, I'm not worried about trying to reach inside there and grab change or grab something else, because it does carry quite thin. Now the steel is, like I said, a CPM S30V, which is basically a powdered steel. And it is kind of one of the first steels that was designed for the knife industry. Maybe when it first came out, people complained that it was chippy and they had a hard time sharpening it, but they may have had some hard times with the heat treat on it when it first came out, but I think they've got it bang on now, because I've never had an issue sharpening one of my S30V blades, or I've never had it chip out at all. And I've got quite a bit of the S30V blades. Now, just to continue on here with the technical features of this, the closed length on this is 4.53 inches or 115 millimeters. The edge length is just under 3 inches, 2.89, or let's just see here, 73 millimeters. And because you've got that little bit of the blade taken away, it's almost like a sharpening choil, but it actually, I think it's to make room for the inner mechanism when the blade closes. And I really, really like it. I've not ever had to worry about that little bit of 1/4 inch loss. I think that it's just done a wonderful job for me ever since I've picked this knife out. Now, it's extremely svelte, 3.7 ounces or 105 grams. So like I said, when it goes in your pocket, you can hardly feel that it's there at all. And let's just see. The other thing here is the manufacturer. It is actually made in Taichung, Taiwan, which is, I think, one of the best plants that Spyderco has, because I've got a few of my Spydercos that were made there, and they always come with their fit and finish absolutely fantastic. The blade centering on this was completely centered, so a lot of people, that'll really bother if it's not centered. Me, you know what? If I don't notice it right away, it doesn't bother me. But as soon as I know about it, it drives me crazy. So I have to kind of fix it if it's not centered. And I've not had anything come from Taiwan that hasn't been centered. Now, this knife here is, I think, one of the best Spydercos that they've produced in the last few years. It's a tremendous EDC knife. Not only is it a great EDC knife, it is a stylish knife that can go in your pocket when you're heading out for supper with your sweetheart or your significant other. And I wouldn't worry about pulling this out someplace to cut off a loose thread on my shirt or anything like that. And I don't think too many people are going to think this is kind of a murdery, stabby knife. It looks like a classic knife, a classy knife, and I think it does an absolutely fantastic job for EDC. So, once again, this is the Big Canucker coming at you with my inaugural YouTube review. So please be patient with me. I'm learning and I'm having some fun. And you know what? Please like and subscribe, and any sort of comments would be appreciated. All right, fellas, I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, knife nerds, keep your finger out of the path of that blade. All right, bye-bye.